Hello, and welcome back for another session of questions and comments. I have Mom here up on the monitor. I thought she could come out and hang with us for a little bit. This was our pet capuchin back in 2013. I have a few stories about this guy. He was a little bit of annoying, kept stealing my stuff and defecating everywhere. But they're cute looking, but they're tiny little terrors in my opinion. So before we begin, I just want to note that I'll be paraphrasing some of the questions. I won't read them word for word, just to kind of help set a better context for me to respond properly. So let's begin with the first one. Melissa 0774 had asked, do Yanomami ever use ham radios to communicate in the more remote areas where you can't get cell phone reception? Or do they use satellite phones, and have they ever used ham radios in the past? And the short answer is yes. My first encounter with a ham radio with the Yanomami was actually in Puerto Ayacucho when I was meeting with some of the Yanomami medical staff there, and they had showed me a ham radio, and they actually called in to the Mavaca and Platanal area to find out if there were any news about my mom's whereabouts. So that was pretty cool. Throughout mission posts and military compounds, you can find ham radios. I'm not really sure beyond the area in which I travel to, how many ham radios there are, and I'm sure there are many more on the Brazilian side, but I know that there are quite a few. Nevertheless, the preferred connection today is satellite, because satellite connection allows you to interface with apps like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Skype, and you can connect with any person in the world at any time, whereas with a ham radio, you're limited to range and frequency and timing. You can't really just kind of leave a voicemail on a ham radio. There are inherent challenges with communication in Yanomami territory. One of the main ones is power source. Back in the day when gasoline flowed freely like the rivers, these areas could power their generators 24/7 and maintain communication with the ham radio and even some of the satellite dishes that were there. But today there is an extreme shortage of gasoline, so it's really hard for these personnel that are working in Yanomami territory to maintain power to the ham radios and to their buildings. And if there's one thing that we've learned from the pandemic is that, we all truly live in a global society, right? We're all connected some way and somehow. And this is true even in Yanomami land, where you have some of the most remote and isolated communities in the world. COVID-19 has struck Yanomami territory. As far as I know, my mom and my family are safe. I really hope that they moved way inland away from the rivers and remain isolated from this worldwide tragedy. But that's the thing, I really don't know. And I just keep hoping and wishing that they're okay. This does bring to light how today more than ever, how important it is to maintain communication with Yanomami and non-Yanomami alike that are working in Yanomami territory. By now, one should have an understanding that one of the critical elements of responding to a pandemic or an epidemic is surveillance, quick communication, and quick response time. I believe that satellite internet connection powered by solar energy or other kinds of renewable energy is the key and is critical for the protection of the Yanomami people. Well, thank you for that question. That brought to light some very important points. So on to the next one. Here, Bizo Sekhose, the comment was, Moka, am I saying it correctly? I love learning new words. So do I, and that's sort of been a difficult journey for me in these last 6-7 years when traveling to Venezuela, because I didn't grow up learning Spanish. In fact, I spent 5-6 years studying Italian. Anyway, I agree. I love learning Spanish and new words, but that's the thing. I'm learning Spanish and I'm also learning Yanomami. So trying to learn 2 new languages while, dealing with everything else in life has been difficult. But little by little, I have been learning. What I liked about your comment is that mocha is a term of endearment a mother would say to her son, or maybe to her husband, or something you would call your younger nephew or little brother or something. It's an affectionate term. It was one of the first Yanomami words that I had been exposed to when I reunited with Mom in 2011, because she constantly called me mocha. But then I learned the literal meaning and I kind of got a chuckle out of it. You know how in our culture we have terms of endearment like honey or sweetie pie or baby, and I always wondered, what if we translated those words to a Yanomami and what they would think about those terms. I bet they would find it either strange or very funny. And so like if we presented them a pie and they looked at the pie and they're like, how do you derive affection and love by a food item? So anyway, of course, that's what I love about language and culture. Every, these utterances and these phonemes and these differences, have and these words and metaphors. It's just really cool. And every culture has a different way of showing love through language and their terms of endearment. It'd be great if you could post a comment here about a term of endearment from where you are, if you're listening from a different country or a different community here in the US. That'd be really cool. Back to mocha, I had learned that when you translate it literally, it means the head of the penis. So, when I learned that, I was like, that's really interesting, so every time at first, I was called Moka, I just, was thinking, okay, she's calling me head of the penis, but like, I was wondering where did that come from? What's the meaning behind that? And I don't know. And I'm sure there's experts out there that do know, but I just kind of laugh because, by mom calling me a penis head, that means, that she's showing me, giving me the utmost affection. That brings us to the next comment by Lutherine Badayan, and she said, I'm a fan and love your story, and thank you. And she had asked, I wonder how you and your mom communicate. Can she still speak English? So to respond to that, that's, it's difficult communicating with mom here. If you can imagine, she knew very little English and I knew very little Yanomami. She was here in the United States for 6 years. And she picked up a lot of words and a lot of phrases, and we even had an ESL teacher to kind of teach her the alphabet and the numbering system. And because she was here for 6 years, she did learn quite a bit. And this is one of my favorite stories. In 2013, it was at the end of the evening, and I was trying to speak with mom and try to learn more Yanomami phrases, and then out of nowhere she said mocha. New Jersey, it's good. Florida, it's good. Besiteri, her way of saying Pennsylvania, it's good. And right now she's got my attention, right? Because she's speaking English and it's been a rough 3 weeks, a lot of pointing and misunderstanding. And she goes, mocha, I want pizza, I want French fries, I want peaches, I want apples. And she started listing all these foods. And I was just in shock because this is awesome. She is speaking English to me. But for her to say, her first words of English to me was, I want pizza and I want French fries. I thought it was just hilarious. And then she said, you take me there. That surprised me because that was her first indication that she had wanted to come to the United States. So I was surprised that she was speaking English, surprised that she had asked me to come to the United States. And I thought, of course, mom, when mom was up here, not everything was bad. She wasn't, suffering all the time. She enjoyed many things of this society, especially since she has her kids who are part of this world as well, and she's part of this world. And if you haven't gotten the news yet, mom did come back here early in 2020. It took us 7 years, but we finally succeeded. Yes, she started speaking a little bit more English, and yes, she got her French fries and she got her pizza, she got her peaches and her apples, so she was quite content with that. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to the next session. Take care. Bye.